We'll have those first couple of fun seconds of being live before the show actually starts. Alrighty, so... YouTube, do you want to tell me you're live? There we go. We're live. Let's see if I can hear my horrible voice. Alrighty, there's my horrible voice. Alright,
Hello.
we can pretty much just get into this if you're all good to go. So, good to go?
Alright.
Alright.
I'm good to go.
How's it going, everybody, and welcome to Shin Megami Tensei Network, link 229. I'm your host, Spencer Presley, and joining me on this show about whatever the heck we're going to talk about for the next God knows however many long minutes is my special guest, Mandy, from MandyleePlays.
Hello. If you hear rain, it's because it's raining. So, yeah. And thundering, too. But I'm good. Thanks for having me on.
No, thank you for coming. The only way this could have been better is if we have rain where I'm at, because it's just hot, gross, and summery weather. Like, I would much rather have rain myself. But, yeah, so you are our special guest, and if anyone here does not know who you are, what's the, like, good little internet introduction for who you are, or what you do, or whatever you want people to know about you?
Oh, wow, that's a deep question. But basically, I make Nintendo content and other JRPG related content on my channel, MandyleePlays, and I just make videos on stuff I want to. Oh, and I do a lot of live streams. So, if you're into that, then you'll probably like my channel, and you probably should subscribe.
So I have good news. I had actually discovered you before Google decided to, hey, let's pull your Skyward Sword video out and tell everyone about your channel. I had a friend mention you forever ago in chat, and I've been meaning to send you a message. And then when I saw your face pop up on Twitter last week, from the YouTube Twitter,
Oh.
I was like, oh yeah, it's that girl. I need to message you now before you get like super duper internet famous. So first thing I have to ask, how did YouTube just randomly decide to like shout out your channel? Because that seemed very random and out of nowhere.
It was random for me. I don't know, like, what their algorithm is to... Because I've seen them do that to other channels, too.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what the parameters are or anything. I just, like, looked at my phone. I was like, what?
Because we're in the very humble like 3K club, so it's not like we're sitting here with our check marks being super duper famous and cool. So it was at least nice to see that and be like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
cool. Like, I mean, it's kind of nice to like get the shot for that.
Me.
And it wasn't something like super horrifying or embarrassing. It was like, oh, cool. Did you like see any like weird spike from that in terms of people coming to your channel, or was it just like
I like got more people on my Twitter than on my channel. Like, there was a spike, like 6 subscribers. And
that's
was cool.
That's a spike. Any day where I get anything more than 0, it's a spike for sure.
So yeah, recent. It was a little, like, a week old. So I was like, what? But it's pretty cool.
That's awesome. What was another thing I was going to ask? Oh yeah, so besides like doing videos and stuff, how long have you been doing this? Like, what was kind of like your introduction of like wanting to start making YouTube videos?
Well, I was on Twitter a lot, and I follow a lot of content creators, and I used to follow, well, not that I used to. I still follow Dreamcast Guy, and he kind of gave me the motivation to start my own channel. So I did. I started out of nowhere, and that was like 3 years ago, almost 4.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. If you see my first video, it's like, oh my god.
Have you at least ever like deleted any of your old videos? Because you're like, oh god, I gotta get rid of this.
I don't delete my videos unless it's like someone asks me to. But
that's
even
good.
the
That's
ones
good
where
though.
I cry or something, I don't delete them because
oh no,
I want to see like the progression. Oh my god.
that was a good one. That was like an actual good like thunderstorm one. That like seemed loud.
Yeah, Florida is wild. So yeah, it was just almost 4 years ago. And I feel like the third year was kind of harder than like the first or the second year, actually. I
So,
don't know. It's just like
what was it like harder in terms of like getting momentum or like motivating yourself to like wanting to do videos, or just because like personal things, work
it.
related things? Like how so?
It's more mentally like you get into the numbers and trying to find out where your channel's going, and it could get pretty rough. And I think the third year uh really hit me hard with those things of trying to be somebody or trying to um you know get more subscribers and stuff, and you all know that.
So would you like? Because like I could not be less like serious about YouTube and all that kind of stuff. Like for me, I've really only been doing this seriously, and I mean serious with like really big air quotes, since beginning 2020. And for me, it's always kind of been that thing of I'm not doing this expecting to be popular. I'm not doing this expecting to make money. This is just like a way to kind of like just basically like a creative outlet. And if anyone watches, that's cool with me. For you, like, do you have like, because like honestly, like I have nothing against people who like consider themselves this. I don't even really like. I don't call myself a content creator. I think the word YouTuber in me makes me want to like have like weird itchy creepy feelings. I'm just a guy who posts stuff online. But like for you, like do you have like those kind of like aspirations that might make it a little bit more stressful if you're not hitting those numbers and goals of like, hey, I want this to be my full-time job. I want this to be like my only thing I do.
Yeah, I do want to do this one day as like full time because I used to be a nurse, um, but due to mental health stuff, I kind of went out of the industry, and I was like, okay, let me try content creation, and I want to I want to be a YouTuber or like that sounds cringy as like
No,
really
I mean
cringy.
I can get that, especially though, like, because like yeah, nursing is such just a different, its own kind of stressful ball of wax. So I totally get that.
Yeah, and I spent so many years doing that, and then I realized I like content creation more, and it kind of fills me with dread thinking that it's not like easy. I mean, it's more easier for others, but
So
it's still like a very
people
hard
always get
grind.
asked a lot, like, oh, who's like someone online you kind of like aspire to be or like put yourself up with it. And this is like maybe a weird one, but I've been kind of thinking about this a lot recently. Do you have anyone you ever like fear becoming or being like online? Like, are there any like content creators out there you'd be like, oh my god, I don't ever want to end up like a blah blah blah?
Um, I don't want to like like I don't
And
want
you
to end up or do want to end
no,
up.
that you don't want to end up like, and I don't mean like you have to like call someone out like by name or whatever, but like there are like some channels like I look at that are just like, I don't ever want to just do let's plays. I don't like that would be so like creatively unfulfilling for me personally, just because I like editorials, I like voicing my opinions, I like having stuff like that happen, but I also
Oh,
don't want to
okay.
like pigeonhole myself of like, there are definitely some channels out there that are like, I'm the blank channel, and on this channel we're always talking about blank. Anything not this is not allowed.
Well, I guess for me, I don't want to be called a Nintendo channel, even though like 99% of my content is Nintendo. I still don't like when people say, "Oh, I'm a Nintendo content creator." I'm like, not really.
Well, I mean,
It's not the
you're
worst
not a
thing.
white guy with glasses and brown hair in front of your game collection, so you're already like not most Nintendo YouTube people out there. So that's at least easy.
Yeah, so I mean, it's not the worst thing to be called or put into a category. I don't like to be put into, the stereotypical gamer girl category. Yeah, I'm a girl, but
I think like that one's got to be a lot harder too. And I mean, obviously, dumb straight white guy in Kansas isn't really going to have like the best opinion about this, but like
yeah.
it's got to be tough because there's that thing of like, especially on YouTube, yeah, it's like, all right, I want to do YouTube and I want to talk about games, but it is kind of hard because like the girls on the internet who really make a name for themselves, it's kind of hard. Like, there's not a lot out there that haven't really had to use the fact that they're a girl to be famous, you know? Like, I forget the name of this girl. No, hold on, I think I remember. It's like Destiny FOMO or something. Of, like, I've seen maybe, like, one or two of her videos, but it's like every one of her thumbnails is always like, gotta get the cleavage in there for it. Which is like, hey, if you want to do that, that's fine. But then if you ever look at her comments or people talk about her, there is definitely those people who just, they see the cleavage in the thumbnail and they're like, oh my god, fake girl gave her because she's like showing her boobs or whatever. But it's like, guys never have to think about that when they're doing like a thumbnail with their face in it. It's like, make a dumb clicky face or whatever. Like, just things guys never really have to think about that a girl would probably have to analyze a little bit more.
But I used to be her friend. We kind of got into this falling out, but I think she uses it on purpose, though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, everybody's going to be different for it.
She does, but it kind of sets a precedent of like, I remember some dude said I was like the Wish version of Destiny FOMO.
Is that like... Oh, that's a loaded comparison. The Wish version. Wow.
Yeah, you know the website.
No, I do. That makes it like more... like, I'm trying to think like what would be like the like, is that like a bad... Because I mean, some people love Wish though, but then it's like, wow, it's like... What a
like some knockoff, like Chinese knockoff or something.
You take like there's free shipping, but it's like it's gonna take like a really long time till your next video gets here.
Yeah, but she definitely uses her looks as her thing, which is fine. Get your money, whatever. But like, not my style, really.
Okay, so
but you know, some shirts I have that have a little bit of cleavage. Oh, did I say that right? Cleavage? Yeah.
Cleavage would also be a great alternative word.
So like, yeah, I have shirts like that, but I don't wear them all the time, or it's not like the main focus, or like, there's always the gameplay is bigger than my webcam. That's for sure.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I saw like I forgot like whatever made this pop up on Twitter, but it was like guy streamers versus girl streamers. It's like the guy is like 10% of the camera and the girl's like 90%. It's like I can't even think of the last time I saw a stream like that, but it would just be so funny of like it's like, I'm here for the game. Can you please make your camera smaller?
Yeah, but you know, I guess they know what the people are there for, and if you're catering to that audience, then more power to you. But I just don't like when I'm not catering to that audience, and they're like, let me see them titties or something. And I'm like, what?
Listen, today is Kirby shirt day. You're going to be looking at my sweet pink round man on my shirt. That's the only thing you're looking at.
Yeah, it's like I don't like pose or like stream on my bed or anything. Jesus.
Oh, so we have a very important first question by Peter Noob, and apparently our Nintendo fanboy and girl. We're starting with the Nintendo question today, but it's very important. To get opinions on Hotel Mario because I have actual thoughts.
Well, Peter is like one of my mods, so this Hotel Mario thing is like a joke. But I don't like Hotel Mario. Sorry, Peter.
You know what? That's actually okay. And hey, it's not that weird because we do almost have a reoccurring segment of one of our listeners, Demi Crow, and I think actually, Demi Crow is a executive producer, but is always asking about a Jack Bros HD, and it's like something about the Virtual Boy just can't die. Like whether it be memes or whatever, but like something about the Virtual Boy, there's people always wanting to talk about it. Also, no, I just realized I confused the Virtual Boy with the CDI. Hotel Mario is a CDI game, isn't it?
Yeah, it's
I'm
a
fake
the
fan.
Wish version.
I'm so sorry. I've
Mario
just outed myself as a fake CDI fan. Damn.
So yeah, I've seen Hotel Mario, but it's like Zelda CDI.
I don't know. Hotel Mario at least is like it. I like the concept of like, I don't know, something about CDI games. I think because like I actually grew up when the CDI was out. Like I remember seeing the CDI. Like I never wanted one. I thought they were at least interesting, and I still like feel that way to this day. Of like I look at stuff like there was recently what was it? There was also recently a HD version of those like Zelda CDI games where like all the art's like all redone and stuff, and I was like, that's awesome. Like, it's still not a great game, but like there's just something interesting about it, you know?
I mean, it made for some good memes, and at
Great
the
memes.
time, it was like pretty. It looked ugly, yeah, but at least they tried. They should make a remake.
I was trying to think, man, for the other one. Oh yeah, so before I get into any other questions, and if people do have questions, just at me in the YouTube live chat, and then we can throw them in whenever. There's really no structure here, so hey, Nintendo questions, Jack Bros questions, we'll answer whatever you want, even if we
I
have
love
no.
Jack Frost.
So, main question I gotta ask you, because we haven't even gotten into the whole reason why you're here. Speaking of being fake fans, how the heck did you get into Shin Megami Tensei or Persona? Where did this start for you?
It started recently. I started with Persona 5 like everybody else, and I loved it so much. Shin Megami Tensei, I kind of started this year with Shin Megami Tensei 4. I love that game too, though I did not get the route I wanted, so I was kind of disappointed at the end. But I got into that one, and you know how Atlus releases their games backwards, so I had to wait. I was tempted to buy a Vita just to play Persona
Oh
4,
man.
and I was going to, but then they said
Just buy it. Buy
it's
it
getting a
anyway.
PC
No,
release,
just
and
buy
I'm
it.
like,
Just buy it anyway.
the gaming lords answered my prayer because I was just like, yes, I don't have to buy a Vita for one game.
Oh, there's so many good
And I
games
love
though.
Persona
There's
4.
so many good games on the Vita. I'm very biased though. Like, so I noticed through the little bit of time I've spent on your channel, you're a really big like collector and stuff, and have like a lot of Switch stuff. I am that guy on YouTube for Vita. That's like saying like I'm the coolest guy in like my town of 100 people, but like I know of maybe like 3 other people online who have more Vita games than I do. Like I'm
I
almost
want a Vita,
it's
but they're so expensive now.
yeah, that's like what sucks is like I've always been recommending people getting them, but especially once manufacturing ended and the digital store scare early this year, it just made prices for everything skyrocket. But like if you're someone who like has the means, or if you ever like come across one, like honestly a weird one, Facebook Marketplace is clutch for getting cheap Vitas. eBay and Macari, they're all price marked to hell. But if you ever just like type in Vita on Facebook Marketplace, it's very easy to find them for like $80. And a lot of the time, people have games like Persona or like the ones you would find very often. Because like if something is even remotely decent, the game is over MSRP now physically. But it's just so good. And like what's so funny is like the people out there like everyone's like they know Persona 4 Golden for the Vita, but like I'm such the
Hmm.
contrarian of like I love the Vita for all of its weird things that aren't Persona 4. Like I love Persona, and like
Oh,
literally I bought like my Vita I bought for Golden, but this is like circa 2012, the day it came out. But like I bought the Assassin's Creed bundle. Like I was playing all the weird games. I wasn't just playing it for the AAA stuff, but like I think of all the interesting weird
hmm.
things that came out on there. I think of stuff like Child of Light playing on there is awesome. I think of Galgun. I think of all the indie games that came out.
It was a good console, and I'm really surprised Sony stopped it, especially with this whole
it,
handheld mobile market. It's like,
it's it's really complicated, but I mean the nice thing is with it is like unlike the 3DS, it's still getting new games for it, and even though the digital store is closed, we still have a couple more physical games left, and a lot of those are
I know in
physical
Japan it's
exclusive.
still like hot. It's
Well,
still like a console.
that's the thing. They just closed physical manufacturing this year in Japan. So in
Oof.
America and in Europe, it closed in 2019, and in Japan, it ended of April this year. So like the last publisher who was doing games in Asia, East Asia Soft, did a massive big order of stuff. So like you probably know like Limited Run Games just sold recently Super Meat Boy. That was their last Vita game. They
Hmm.
printed that in 2019. Like those copies they're shipping out are going to
Oh
be
wow.
dusty Got some dusty ass copies
As a
coming.
physical collector,
Mm-hmm.
that makes me like so sad.
Oh yeah, but then like so East Asia Soft did something similar. Of they printed as many games as they could possibly have ready ahead of time. So they said they have enough games to at least do 2 a month until 2022. So like that at least makes me kind of happy. And honestly, as a collector, it's kind of nice that there's an end date for stuff because like as any Switch collector will know,
Hmm.
it's overwhelming how many things are coming out physically, and that's not even getting into the limited
Oh
market.
yeah.
So it's just kind of nice. That's like, and I've like told my wife this of like I love the Vita, and I'm not sad that it's ending. Like I'm sad that like the digital store closed a little sooner than I would have liked, but the system literally turns 10 in December this year. I would not have thought the Vita was alive for a decade, and so I'm really glad it did. It had a longer life than the PSP. It had a longer life than the 3DS, which is crazy. Like 3DS,
But it's, in my opinion, like they still should have like maybe done a Vita 2 or something.
I
Especially with the success of the Switch. I don't know what.
I think they
I don't know
will.
why.
I think Sony isn't dumb enough to keep ignoring that, especially now that you're seeing like the Playdate is having pretty good success and the Steam Deck has had a lot of good press. I think it's Sony is such a different company now, and the Vita was definitely a Sony Japan product and not a Sony America thing. So I think it's gonna
Yeah,
happen
but,
eventually.
yeah.
We just kind of have to wait. But yeah, it's like recommending the Vita is such a heartbreaking thing for me. Of of like the shitty part is like, oh my god, it's still great. It's got hundreds of games. It's really really awesome. Like all these awesome like interesting exclusives that are still only there or weird ports.
But you gotta like hunt for it.
Yeah, it's like, and I mean
And like spend so much money.
but I mean, hey, it's like it's hard to like get into any kind of collecting now that's not stupidly
But
expensive.
yeah, like
for
you
it.
said, there's probably hope with like Valve doing the Steam Deck, which looks awful, but maybe Sony will be like,
So
people like to play, you know, not on their desk or anything. They like portable gameplay. Why don't we bring back our portable system? Like slap on an OLED screen too.
So I gotta ask you because I cannot get over that this is how you went from P5 to SMT4. Did you have those games physically before? Did you just say fuck it? I'll get them digitally because, like, as you probably noticed, the 3DS prices for all those Atlus games just skyrocketed.
Yeah, I got Shin Megami Tensei 4 digitally because the listings were crazy, and it takes a lot for me to not get a physical copy. But I wasn't gonna spend that much money, and I didn't know the game too well. And then I wanted to play like Digital Devil Saga or the other ones too.
Hmm.
Like I had like Apocalypse at one point, and I traded it in. I didn't know the value though. And then so when I went back to go buy more Shin Megami Tensei games, I'm like, holy cow! Like, why are these games so expensive?
See, what's so
And
funny
I
is
get
it
it.
like it's expensive, and there's no reason for them to be expensive because like 3DS games, unlike Vita, can still be printed. Like people probably don't know this, but just this year in 2021, Nintendo has reprinted physical copies of Metroid: Samus Returns and like all the Sonic 3DS games just got reprinted for the 30th anniversary or 30 was it 30 or 35 whatever the anniversary that just happened. So like they're still getting printed, and I don't have it confirmed, but I think there's really good news for anyone who is looking for those games physically down the line for at least being resold again after getting reprinted. Similarly with like how the like Yakuza games got reprinted a couple years back, like all the old PS3 and PS2 ones got really expensive. So I hope that can finally come to fruition because like the 3DS has so many great Shin Megami Tensei games on it of like, and you can't even recommend like the newest ones relatively cheaply. Like Persona Q2 is literally 2 years old and impossible to find at retail.
Yeah, I think it's more because of Atlus. They're so weird. First of all, they put like Persona 5, and they never really ported like 3 or 4 on the PlayStation, and everyone's like, okay, we love 5. where's the rest of them?
See,
And it took,
I think it's like
forever.
people call that out a lot for like Atlus being really inconsistent. I think it's like an age thing though. Like I think if you are following a lot of current series, it looks really weird. But like I'm part of the Kingdom Hearts generation of like, nah, dog,
Hmm.
I buy
I
a
love
system.
Kingdom Hearts.
I buy a system for one game. It's like I bought a PS3 for Metal Gear Solid 4. I bought a GBA for Chain of Memories. I bought a 3DS for Dream Drop Distance. It's like I'm the kind of dum-dum I'm following series even if I'm buying a system for one game because I know at the end of the day it's like this is like what I don't get about the like, oh, why isn't Persona 5 on more systems? It's like, dude, the PS4 has over 100 million systems sold. Like, it was very easy to buy a PS4 and a lot... Like, it sold more than the Wii at this point. So we're kind of at that point where it's like, what is stopping you from owning a PS4 if you want this game so bad, you know? So, like,
It's more like since Persona 5 got very popular and it really like got more people into the series, it's kind of jarring when you say, okay, Persona 5, where's the other four? And it's more jarring, especially if you were really into the series and you liked it a lot and you're trying to trace back the other games to get into them again, and then it's like all over the place and you're like, oh, Atlus, why? And Joker did um get a character slot in Smash, and a lot of people thought that Persona was going for the Switch.
do you remember? I don't know. I don't think we still live in that time. But there was an era where if a character was in or coming to Smash, that meant a new release was coming. Like people legitimately thought that.
Well, I think since you're in like a Nintendo kind of fighting game and you don't have like a representative, well, Strikers, I guess, and
But like
PQ,
I
and
mean, even go back to Wii U. Like when Cloud was in it, that was still
these are
five.
special.
But it's like I put Cloud and Joker kind of on the same thing of like when those characters got into the game, and even Snake. Like look at Snake. Where's my Metal Gear Solid Wii game or Wii U game or the Switch game? Like there's still not been any Metal Gear Solid representation.
Yeah, you got a point on that
So
one.
so it's like Sakurai like doesn't look at like that's why I did a video recently about how I am really really certain, even though I know as soon as I say it it's not happening, but I'm genuinely convinced Nahabino from SMT5 is going to be the last Smash character. It's like Sakurai doesn't look at Smash like Nintendo All-Stars. It's called Super Smash Brothers for a reason. Like I think if it was only about Nintendo as a platform or as a legacy, like when you hear him talk about that series, he's talking about Smash Brothers as a celebration of all games. That's why Steve's in it. I mean, obviously, yes, you can be cynical and say, well, Microsoft owns it and Microsoft helped them put Banjo and blah blah blah. It's like, yes, obviously money talks, like, but then you also think of other things like literally Sakurai has said the only reason Kazuya was added to Smash is because Bandai Namco was like, hey dog, we make this game, can we put our character in here? And he's like, I guess so. It works for me.
But like for me, it just boosted the character even more, and it would be nice to have Persona on the Switch, even though I
No,
have a
yeah,
PlayStation and have Royal and stuff and the
100%,
dancing
100%.
queens.
I'm never in the camp of like, oh, how dare you put like beg for a port, just buy a system? Because like going back to the Vita conversation, do you remember how often games like when the Vita came out, it was Vita port begging all the time? Like Borderlands 2 didn't come to Vita because oh god, I just can't wait to put that on the Vita. We begged for that port. Like that was like one of like there were so many games that came to the system that are like, oh my god, why did you come? Like I love when a Vita port is like barely able to run on the system. Like the games like that are like, okay, clearly this is just a passion project. Like those games that are like, oh my god, like you made it runnable, but at what cost? Like I think those things are so interesting. My whole thing about
Oh
it.
yeah, like Strikers on the Switch. I wouldn't recommend anybody play that on the Switch.
But
It's good to be on the Switch.
yeah, it's like stuff like that is really fine, and I always think asking for it is great, and I'm always like, hey, put everything on everything, because like at the end of the day, it's like I'm like this of like, hey, where's like a percentage of the like where's the Xbox love for Atlus games, like stuff like that. Like I'm like, where's Strikers on Xbox? Where is like if you have Yakuza, why isn't Persona also on Xbox? And like there are answers for that, but for the most part, yeah, they're just a weird company. But like
especially with the blow up of Persona 5, a lot of new like Shin Megami Tensei people are like, oh, okay, what do we play next? And trying to get into the series. It's really hard to get into.
But what's funny is we're going to see the opposite effect this November. There will be so many port beggars for 5, and what's extra funny about that one is at least a little bit more clear cut. Of like, dog, you gotta know, like SMT5 it's just a fact, will come to other systems eventually. It's just going to be a really long time because Nintendo legit paid for that game. Like, they are not even, like, basically, like, they are publishing that game in half of the world. They are publishing it in everything that's not Japan or America. They are the co-publisher of that game on all of, PAL, Australia, Europe, Germany, like, all of these things. Like, Nintendo's got a huge stake in that game, and that's not even a first-party game.
We still don't have Persona 5 on the Switch. I don't...
You got Tokyo Mirage Sessions. Have you played that? Just play that one instead.
Oh, heck yeah. I played that twice.
There you go, see? That means
and that's why I like the UI of Shin Megami Tensei 5, because it reminds me of, like, FE Encore and stuff.
I love when that conversation came up after E3 of people like, LOL, SMT5 just reuses TMS's HUD. And I'm like, yeah. So, like, it's like, what's the problem here? That's like being like, yeah, cool. Good game copies good game. You're allowed to do that.
But the thing about Atlus is, like, Nintendo has all this share with Shin Megami Tensei. And for me, I thought for the longest time that Shin Megami Tensei and Persona fall under the same umbrella. So I was like, okay, then why is that not on the Switch? It would sell like hotcakes. Like, come on, I would buy it again and play it.
So, like, I've talked about this a lot for it, but like, do you think if companies were more public, because like a great example is like this. P5R is only on PlayStation because it is contractually obligated to be an exclusive. Now, that contract has probably ended. I know that it was at least for a year, but that was a year-long exclusive PlayStation product. And do you think if Atlus came out and just admitted that people would take that and kind of be quiet, or at least kind of understand it a little bit better? Because, like, my whole thing is, like, why not just explain that to fans? Because, like, if you go back to... Do you remember when IGN interviewed the poor PR person at Atlus, whose name I will not say, and she might be the worst quote in PR history, at least for Atlus, of, hey guys, if you really want Persona on Switch, just let us know. Just let us know if you're interested.
Oh,
like,
my God.
Why? Why would you... Like, what people are just sitting there going like, no, we don't want it. Just move along.
And it's so weird, because, like, Persona 4 did awesome on the PC, and Atlus is like, oh, yay. People actually do want to play our games. And I'm hoping for 3, because I just really want to play 3.
3's coming. Don't worry. 3's coming. 3's
like,
3's
1
clutch.
and 2, actually, maybe not 1, but 2. And I'm just like, Atlus, what are you doing? Oh my God,
weird question then, because I was waiting for someone to bring it up in chat. King Narakami brings up the worst hashtag possibly in Atlus history. When you saw the hashtag Break Free Persona thing come up, as a fan who does want those games coming up, like, were you behind that? Like, because for me, I was like, this is the wrong way to, like, go about that. Like, we do not need a hashtag to get these ports coming, because then it's like...
I mean, I would do, like, if it's just a hashtag, I'll retweet it. I'll tweet it myself. If that, like, helps a little bit.
But you have to remember, like, then people are thinking, oh, that's why it's coming. Because, like, the day that, whenever, because it's going to happen, the day Persona 5 comes to Switch, people will be like, we did it, guys, Break Free Persona, like, it's responsible for it. It's like, no, it's not. It's because the contract came up and they finally had a cheap and easy way to bring it to Switch, so they brought it to Switch.
I mean, I don't care how it came up. I'm just glad it came up. Like, if it's announced on the Switch, I'll be like, oh, okay, that's cool. I don't care what they had to do behind the scenes.
I guess I don't want people thinking that it wouldn't happen if the fandom like didn't say anything, because like especially
Well,
one
the
of the,
fandom is you know, responsible for most of the stuff and changes in Persona SMT games. Without a fandom, you got like nothing.
it's a fine line, but Atlus I think runs a really interesting boat of like they are very head in the sand for a lot of decisions of like Atlus does not look to the West when they're making their games. Like Atlus is not
Yeah,
looking at
like
what like they've even said publicly
mhm.
on record a lot of like no, we make these games for Japan. Yeah, they come out in America, but we're making this for Japanese people. It's like, hey,
I hate that stance. It's like we pay money for the game like the people in Japan. So we should be treated like that. Like I
I
understand maybe
I
having
get
to
I get it
like
being like an annoying thing, and I get it like you should be a little more inclusive, or you should think of the rest
it's
of your
like waiting
fans.
for a year
But it's like
for
it's
like
kind of like the same stance though of like the people who look at GTA 5 when that got announced of being like, "Where's the women?" Which is like, yes, you can say I want a GTA game where I play as a woman, but if the people making it just want like unless there's someone vocally on the team saying, "Oh, we wanted it, but we just couldn't. Like they didn't let us do it higher ups." Like if that's the creative vision was just, "Hey, we wanted three dudes being terrible and that's the story." Like cool. Do your vision, have that, but like I think there's like a fine line of Atlus should be able to say we only want to make games for Japanese audiences, no, even if they come out internationally. But then we should also still have that conversation of cool, but why don't you? Like I think because that conversation doesn't get to happen, it then just kind of
well, we could like have it now.
no for sure,
Because
but
for
I mean
me,
like but I think like
oh,
I
sorry.
mean like I just mean like the fans having it is great, but because there's no communication really, like talking to Atlus West doesn't mean
Mhm.
anything. They're never going to have. Okay, I shouldn't say never. They in the last decade plus have never affected the development of any major title. And I will gladly have anyone prove me wrong on any stance. And it's just one of those things of they might have changed things for the localized version, but like look at something like Persona 5 Royal. Do you remember how they changed the scene in the localized version when Ryuji has the two gay men come up to him?
I don't remember exactly. I was just pissed that we had to wait another year.
But basically, like
Like,
there was the scene where these two gay guys come up to Ryuji and Joker basically just leaves, and the joke in Japan is, haha, the two gay guys wanted to take him out on a date against his will, and Joker left him. Very
mhm.
very stereotypical Japanese humor that definitely doesn't fly in the West, but in the Western version of Royal, Atlus West made a whole big thing of saying like, guys, we heard your feedback. We're changing it, and it's not going to be as disrespectful. And literally all they did was in the localized version, they changed it from being two gay guys hitting on Ryuji to being two cross-dressers. Sorry, no,
I remember
two
that.
drag queens hitting on him. And I'm like, that doesn't help anything at all. And the most fucked up part is it's still the same scene in Japan. So if you're like it appeased nobody. Like no one came away from that being like great and good to go. Like if Atlus West came to Japan before Royal came out and was like, "Hey, you need to change this scene. The West didn't really like this." And they changed it, that would mean that like they had some say. They're like, "No, like they Atlus Japan." And I don't mean this in a negative way, but I just think people don't know this. It's like Atlus Japan looks at Atlus West as a localization company and nothing more. But like what's so funny is
I mean, yeah.
they're owned by Sega, and look at all of the most positive things in recent Sega history have come from Western Sega created properties. Sonic Mania, Western developed team. Sonic Boom, Western made show. Sorry, the show, only the show. We're not talking about the games, although the Sanzaro ones are okay. But like all the Sonic stuff that Japan themselves does is all universally panned. It's like Western fans like
Hmm.
look at the Sonic movie. If the Sonic movie should not be good. That was a Western-made Sonic movie, and it's great. I fucking love that movie. Those Olive Garden jokes are legitimately funny to me. But, like, nothing that's come out of Japan in Sonic has been good, but at least Sega is aware and has had Western effect on the series to make it relevant. Like, even look at something like Sonic Colors. Sonic Colors isn't even being ported by Japan. Sonic Colors is being ported by Blind Squirrel, or I might be freaking there, but it's like done by a Western port house. Like, Japan hasn't done anything positive to the Sonic franchise in a decade. But there are still happy Sonic fans because the West has a positive effect. And unfortunately, Atlus, even though they are owned by the same company, you just can't get that kind of effect, sadly.
Yeah, it feels like they're old school, and it's like they treat the West like, oh, okay, we got our sales here, we need more money, so, you know, make it international or something.
Mm-hmm.
Or like with Persona 4, it just boggled my mind how it took them that long to realize most people don't have a Vita, and they want to play Persona 4 because Persona 5, why don't we put it on Steam? It wasn't even on PlayStation, which was weird enough, but
well, there's a reason
mind.
behind it why it was only computer, but yeah, it was weird, but I mean, it was definitely... them doing it on PC was just such a Atlus decision of like, we're not going to announce it, it's going to shadow drop hilariously, and as is tradition, it will get leaked so everyone knows it and it's not actually a surprise. But at least the sales showed up. Like, that game has sold over 1 million copies, and I think was a great release that didn't do anything great, but at least like it did the bare minimum. You know, it was a $20 port. It was okay. It didn't have perfect like things, but they didn't add anything. And like other things or whatever. So it was at least like, because I think that like sucks with Atlus as a company. It is so easy to just ask why. But like on the times where they do stuff great, like, because I think in terms of them porting things and respecting their history, they are such a boneheaded company. Mm-hmm. But like, look at Shin Megami Tensei 5. I can't say like more than like 2 or 3 bad things about that game. I am so blindly excited, and everything they've shown about that is just such a smart, great decision of a move for a game that I was very nervous about before June. So it's like, they make such great games, but they just do such boneheaded business decisions, so it really, really stinks.
I know, it's like Nintendo sometimes. It's like they make the most beautiful games and all that, but then you have to go through hoops to buy them.
It's like, I don't know if you've talked about this on your channel. I was explaining to someone in my Discord, because a lot of us have been playing Skyward Sword HD, because, hey, shoutouts to that's a great game. And I was like, someone was like, is it worth 60 again? And I'm like, I legitimately think Skyward Sword is worth 60, 100%. And the funny thing about it...
biased, so.
Yeah, but then I thought about something as well. I was like, but you know what sucks? The whole Amiibo thing is such a disaster. Of like, they made a exclusive feature to an Amiibo that is still sold out all the time. And even if it wasn't sold out, it's still pretty fucked up that they locked one exclusive new feature that was a great quality of life feature behind an Amiibo that is almost double in price. Because, like, do you have that Amiibo? So I
just don't use it because I don't agree with what they did with it. I just loved looking at it. It's beautiful.
It's a beautiful Amiibo, but its MSRP of $25 is like, dude, it's not a bigger Amiibo. They just charged up the price to charge up the price. So it's like, man, I loved it, because like you're saying, it's like, I love this game. I love what they did with the HD version, but it's like, why? Why'd you do the Amiibo thing? You could have just sold me the Amiibo for $25 and had no feature, and I still would have been happy with the Amiibo, because it's beautiful.
The feature should have been in the game. Like, I don't know why they stuck it onto Amiibo. Like, they could have just made a costume on the Amiibo or something, or it's like Fi wearing a different outfit or something.
It's just weird because, like,
and cosmetic.
They've really been ignoring Amiibo the last couple of years. Like, it's been rare to get Amiibo that aren't Smash Brothers, because the sales went down really, really hard ever since Animal Crossing, and it's just been like, unless you're a really rare case, Amiibo are just made in really dumb small quantities. Like, stuff with Metroid was fun, but even Metroid had an exclusive feature tapped behind it. But, like, Mario 3D World, when those Amiibos came out, no one cared about that. It was like, hey, if you want it, cool, but like the feature they had is it's not anything fun, so it's not a big deal. So it's like they were leaning off of it for so long that it just seems so weird to pull it back for an HD release of an anniversary game. So it was like, yeah, it like goes back to the thing of like,
for me, I love to collect amiibos, but only the ones I like. I don't collect all of them. So I have all the Zelda ones, but I just don't use them as amiibos because to me it's more for, decoration.
see,
And I think
I play
they
Hyrule
should have
Warriors,
stayed
so
like that.
I love how Hyrule Warriors does it. Hyrule Warriors, I think, does it perfectly. Of every Zelda amiibo just gives you a random item. There's nothing exclusive.
Oh
It just
yeah.
gives you some bonus loot, and I'm like, that's perfect. That's like,
And Breath of the Wild.
yeah,
I just stood there for 10 minutes tapping every Zelda amiibo.
Breath of the
And
Wild's.
even non-Zelda
I was
amiibo.
gonna say Breath of the Wild's a tough one though, because it's random, but there are exclusive things tied behind some of them. Like Wolf Link amiibo, only being on the Wolf Link amiibo is kind of lame because that's such a cool thing.
Yeah. I mean, you could go to Etsy and get the backdoor
Oh
option.
man, dude,
But
like when I see those on like Etsy or like third party market sites, like when I see like, hey, here's an NFC coin, so you can still online. It's like, dude, no one's where's the NFC coin printer collection? Like no one's showing off their collection of like bootleg amiibo coins.
no, but those are for more like the items in the amiibo are really good. Like, example, Animal Crossing, they had the Sanrio amiibo cards.
Oh, why did they make
Nobody
that?
cared about the cards.
Why did
They
they
just
make it a
wanted the
Target
stuff.
exclusive? Why did they make that Target exclusive? I have no
I
idea.
went freaking early in the morning and I had to hunt for it. Like, it wasn't embarrassing enough going in early just to buy amiibo cards. I had to ask everybody too.
I'm so desensitized to ever asking employees for anything at this point. Through my own
Yeah, me
dumb
too at this
collecting,
point. Yeah.
and also because like my wife collects squishmallows and stuff. So like I'm just so used to going to stores and be like, I'm looking for a giant 35-inch stuffed animal raccoon. Can you please point me in that direction?
Yeah, that was me with Pokemon cards. Before they got really bad, I was just like, "Hey, do you have this series of Pokemon cards?" And I had no shame. Like, I don't. Because, first of all, well, Walmart is like my last resort. It's just like, it's so hard to tell the lady, "Hey, I need this title and this title, whatever." And she's
Wait,
like,
so
"It's not there." I'm
do you
like,
mean
Look in
even
the back.
do you mean even for
Look in your
games?
back."
Like buying games at Walmart is even your last resort?
Yeah,
See, for me,
I mean,
because
sometimes I
Walmart,
get them cheaper.
I was gonna say because Walmart sells all their Nintendo games and like anything that's not so first party Sony, everything is $10 cheaper at Walmart. So I'm like, does it suck that I have to tell a lady at 6 o'clock in the morning to pull out a copy of Tokyo Mirage Session Sharp FE in the middle of a
Um,
snowstorm? Yes, but I got it for $10 cheaper, so it was worth it.
my Walmart employees, I think they know me by now at this point. But like in the gaming section, they're so like unmotivated. I
Oh
have to tell
man,
them, "Can you look in your back?
on
Like
release
the
day,
back of the store?"
it's like God forbid you stalk the thing that came out because like even with Skyward Sword, it was like well into the afternoon. I go to my Walmart. It says they got a bajillion copies, and I'm like, hey, I'd like to find Skyward Sword, but I know it's not out yet. And he's like, oh. Yeah, we just haven't stocked it yet. It was literally just a stack of them on a box behind him. It was just like, so is this how I'm supposed to buy the game? To just come to the man with the stack of copies behind? Like, it's not like it's GameStop where there's one register to buy games. Like, that makes
Yeah,
sense.
and like everything is for games. But Walmart's like, first you have to call somebody over. Now Target, when I was looking for the Amiibo cards, like at some point one of the employees wanted the Amiibo cards too, so she helped me look for them.
Target
And it
employees,
was
I
so
feel like, are such like it's like bipolar of the sense of if you're in the electronics section of a Target, doesn't matter what version or what store it is, you either find someone who has absolutely no interest in whatever you're asking them to get, or they're like the biggest fan of it. So like the funniest thing, like
Yeah, I
when I
love
go
when
to
they're
when I go to like Target and I'll ask for like because like we my wife has like a bunch of K-pop stuff. It'll be like, oh, we're looking for like the new BTS album or whatever. And the person will be like, you want to get this? Hold on, let me go get it for you. It's like right over here. Like they're so excited. Or I'd be like, no, okay, whatever. It's like what? It's called Butter? Like the food? No, the album's called Butter. Okay, all right, whatever.
Like my favorite place is Best Buy. They're not perfect, and I to this day don't understand why they stopped the gamer
Oh, I was just gonna
rewards
ask about I
program.
was just gonna ask
I'm
about
just like
GCU. God, I love GCU.
my heart, my heart like dropped when like the person said it had expired. I'm like, no, you can hear my screams from
Oh,
the outside.
it was such a good. It was such a
But
good
it's
deal.
like, damn. I know it's like it's only $10, but it makes a real big difference.
Adds up. Yeah, that twenty
And
percent
like,
added up really easy.
and I would always buy games there, so I would get also points that I could put as rewards, like a $5, $15, and the employees were always good. It was like the best place, but now
It was
the
like the
employees are
Best
good,
Buy. It was the Best Buy back in
but
the day.
the pre-order like exclusives suck at Best
Oh
Buy.
my god,
But
do you remember when they used to, like, every game, if you pre-ordered it, you'd get, like, a $10 reward certificate? They never do that now. It's like barely any games do that.
they barely even give you the game. Like I remember with the Monster Hunter Stories, my game wasn't there. I pre-ordered it and it wasn't there. It was late, and I was just like, okay.
So Best Buy gets a pass for me, kind of, only because they've been really good about getting exclusive Steelbook pre-orders. Like when they got it for Strikers and for Yakuza, it was like, I love Steelbooks. I'm a huge Steelbook collector, whether it be Switch
Oh,
or
me too.
whatever. So
I have
like,
a video of just showing off my steelbooks.
I am so mad I have not seen that before. When I make dinner after this, I will be watching because I love any Steelbook collecting videos for it. So like, I am
I'll
such a
give you the link.
Thank you. But like seriously, like steelbooks are like they're like my relevant Vita. Even though steelbook collecting is still very niche. Like I'm the person to, like here's this, like, because I'll have a video of this coming soon because God knows fucking no one else imported this thing. Did you know there is an exclusive steelbook to Breath of the Wild in Korea? Sorry, not Breath of the Wild.
No.
Skyward Sword HD.
I know there was one in Europe,
Yes, the Europe one is
somewhere
very
there.
common. I just got that one in, and I have a Korean exclusive one on the way. It's the box art.
Damn.
It's the Skyward Sword HD box art, but totally clean. Like, so just no Nintendo logo and stuff on there. So it's just a really nice, glossy, like, bright blue box art for it. I'll try and send you a picture or whatever for it on Twitter. Looks really nice. Nobody's covered it. Like,
Damn.
who's
You're
covering
a bigger
Korean
fan than me.
Well, it's like
I didn't get it.
it's really hard to like order those and not just get totally fucked. In terms of price, like literally the cheapest way I could find it was I had to buy a Korean copy and like get it as my pre-order bonus. So at least it'll be easy to sell my copy because it has English with it. But what's so funny is just like for stuff like that, there are so many little weird like collector things. Like people didn't know this. Like I made a video recently showing off some of my Atlus collection, and people were like, "Why do you have so many Persona steelbooks?" And I'm like, "Because Japan."
They're beautiful.
Well, yes, they're beautiful, but Japan has different steelbooks than the ones we get. So they have
Really?
they have a retailer over there called GEO, and every Atlus game that has ever come out gets a exclusive steelbook only to that one store, and it's never the same steelbook as over here. So Japan has one for Persona
Oh
5
man.
Royal. They even got one for the dancing games, which we didn't get over here, and it's this really beautiful one. So it has the art of 3 or the art of 5 on the other side. It's really nice, holds both
Wow.
copies. Like they're really, really gorgeous, and they're just made in these crazy small numbers because it's a retail pre-order bonus in one of the smallest countries in the world. So like they're not.
Being a collector is a
It's yeah.
part-time job. My God.
It's a struggle. Like I'm gonna send you this right now. They actually just announced one. So you know how in America SMT5 is getting its day one edition comes with a steelbook.
SMT5, yeah.
So in Japan it doesn't come with a steelbook, but if you get it at GEO, I just sent you this picture. It is the art
But
book.
doesn't Japan get the deluxe one?
Well, their collector's edition is pretty much the same as ours, except they get a shirt and we get the bag. So we're pretty much sharing
Right.
collector's editions for the most part. But yeah, the funny thing is with it is just like those little subtle differences and stuff for it. Like they like to do with their steelbooks a lot of just the art, but with no logos. or at least like know like ratings and stuff like that. And I'm such a sucker for anything with clean art, which I think is like why I'm such a big Steelbook nerd.
I like the ones, the PlayStation ones that come with the sleeve. So it has the PlayStation logo and everything, but it's a sleeve. So when you take it off, it's just the Steelbook. I feel
Yeah.
like that's a very nice way. And when you put it to the side, it can match with, the other sides of your PlayStation games.
So I know I shouldn't be asking you this, but just I have to. So A, what got you into Steelbooks, and B, like, do you have like a favorite one or like a really crazy dumb story one of like, oh my god, like this was so hard to get?
I got into them because I like the art on them, and I just really liked them. I forgot what was my first Steelbook, but yeah, I just really like the art. Now, I don't really like the Switch Steelbooks as much because they're kind of weird looking, but I think my favorite has to be the one for Catherine. It looks so gorgeous with the
Oh,
pink and two girls.
you are gonna make me such. You're gonna make me sound like such a fucking loser now. I'm sorry. That's not actually a steelbook. The North American, like, you mean the North American one that it's a pink cover. It has all three of the girls on there, and there's like a little tiny Vincent. So like there's Catherine with a C and a K on one
Mm-hmm.
side, and Catherine on the other side. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm going to become this guy. That's actually a metal case. That's not a steelbook. Atlus did
Oh,
call it a
Steelbook is a
steelbook.
company,
Yeah,
isn't it?
Steelbook is a company, and it's like the whole Band-Aid brand thing of it, but it's a very different kind of design. Like the way you can tell is like that steel the metal case for Catherine in America has no name on the spine. So if you just put it on your shelf, it looks like a random pink spine sticking out of nowhere. Whereas there is a steelbook for
Oh,
Japan.
right.
Whereas there is a steelbook in Japan for Catherine. That one, like, I get asked about that one a lot because people are always like, "Oh, what's that one?" or whatever for it, and that's the only steelbook release it got for it. And yeah, that one I'm only really salty about because people always think of that as a steelbook, and I literally got into
I
a.
mean, it's hard
I
and it
know.
looks gorgeous.
I know it doesn't really matter. It's a name thing because like if you are a steelbook collector, like a really big steelbook collector, you do not collect metal
Mhm.
cases thinking they're the same thing. Like I have a bunch. They are nice. There are some that look really fun and cool, but it's just a different kind of thing. Whereas like also literally people at Atlus were like, no, it's a steelbook. I was getting in fights with like their PR people on Twitter. I'm
Yeah,
like,
I don't really go that hard on Steelbooks. As long as it looks pretty and it's hard, I consider it like a Steelbook.
and I
So I
think
guess my
And I think like the only reason like I'm a little bit like harder on the Catherine one is because there's like is the spine looks so bad without a name. Like it's just like when you have it like your collection there, it's just at least nice to at least like oh here's this game. Even though I will probably never own another giant pink like metal case in my life, it just kind of is nice to have that consistency in your collection.
I mean it has a name, but it's because the sleeve that goes over it, it's not
Oh,
really on the
okay. So then this is the like 900th other complaint with
when you see
Catherine.
my video, you'll probably like die.
No,
You're like,
I'm
this girl should treat the title to
I'm no that
like
when it comes to
hard cases or
no
stuff.
when it comes to stuff like that I'm not that picky for it. It's just with a couple of weird ones. So then this is the other fu that's weird. So you own the version with the slip case on the metal case, and then it shows the spine. It looks a little bit nicer. That was like the
Mhm.
launch edition. If you bought the collector's edition, it did not come with that slip. So if you own the collector's edition, you don't have the slip, and so there's no thing to show you the title on the spine. It just was the case by itself, which is
So
really
the ones without the title on on the side are like legit steelbooks, like the company steelbooks.
no. The one with the thing on the side. Well, hold on. So you just mean like steelbooks in general, not Catherine, right?
Yeah, like
Yeah. So
the brand
the
steelbooks.
easiest way to tell is the spines are very long rectangles, and if you open them up, they will always say Steelbook. There's no Steelbook that doesn't actually say because like like the little plastic they have it kind of written on there.
Oh, okay.
That's
I
interesting.
didn't know that.
That is interesting though. You brought up the Catherine one. I would have like figured because Nintendo's had some gorgeous ones. I love the Xenoblade ones, and
I only have the Fire Emblem one because they're really hard, and they usually have them for like the European
yep.
folks.
Nintendo America does not like giving us steelbooks, although I'm at least glad we
They
got.
hate it.
I'm at least glad Metroid's getting one, although that collector's edition is its own nightmare. Like, even I don't have that pre-ordered. Um, yeah, Nintendo Europe always gets a bunch like that. What's funny is that's actually been a trend that started with the Wii U. Europe got a ton of Wii U steelbooks that people don't know about. Like, I have a Wii U steelbook for Xenoblade Chronicles X and Star Fox Zero. What was another? Oh, 3DS
Oh,
steelbooks as
I
well.
just saw your Skyward Sword steelbook. It's so gorgeous.
I am so excited. Like, literally, no.
Oh
I've
my,
seen no.
chef's kiss.
I have seen like nobody post about that, so I'm really excited to like just do like a little Skyward Sword freak out video when both of those arrive. So
Well,
like,
yeah, it's definitely unique because a lot of people don't have one from, where'd you get it? Denmark or something?
no, that one was Korea. That'd be South Korea.
Yeah, so I don't import a lot of stuff. Well, I really don't because it's very expensive. So stuff like that is really nice. Like, oh
So
my God, it looks so gorgeous.
okay, last Nintendo Steelbook thing, just because then I have to ask. Did you know that there are 3DS Steelbooks?
Really? I know that there's small ones for like to put in codes,
Okay,
but
so
not
these are
3DS
exclusive. So,
ones.
as a fellow Zelda fan, I have to do this for you. If you can look up online, and I recommend everyone else check this out, there is a Majora's Mask 3D Steelbook, and that is a chef's kiss. It is gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. Although I am a huge Majora's Mask fan. I'm trying to think what other ones there
I
are.
love Majora's Mask as well.
Yeah, there's a ton for Pokemon. Like, every Pokemon game after Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire got a Steelbook for some reason. Like, literally every Pokemon 3DS game after that has 3 variants, if not more. It's, like, really dumb.
I found a pin. Hold on a second.
That's okay. While that gets pulled up,
The
I'm gonna...
DS looks beautiful.
Oh,
Oh my God, it looks gorgeous.
Also, get the purple. It's, like, a really deep, glossy purple. It looks really, really nice in, like, photos in person.
Oh my, why did they? Well, the 3DS is dead at this point, but why did they stop this?
Well, the problem was
Oh,
they started making legit steelbooks too late, and thankfully they learned that from the Switch, because the Switch you only had to wait till Xenoblade Chronicles 2. That was the first one, but the problem was if you have to make a cut, if you are wanting a special size, then you have to basically pay the steelbook company called Scanovo to make a mold for you. So Nintendo paid them to make this 3DS one, but it was so late they only got to use it a couple of times. Like, there's really not a lot of steelbooks for the 3DS out there that are like legit steelbooks. There's a couple, but they're basically just like they're meant to hold your case, not the game. I will say there's a really cool thing Japan does, and I promise I'm going to move off of steelbooks eventually, but I'm way too passionate about this. In Japan, what they do with steelbooks that are for multi-plat games, and the Catherine case does this, and so does Persona 5 Striker Steelbook in Japan, is that it holds Blu-ray games on the right side, and on the left they have a slot for Switch games. So you can hold the both versions of the game if you have
what?
both copies. So with the Catherine Steelbook, this is extra meta. My Catherine Steelbook can hold all 3 ports of Catherine Full Body. There's the PS4 disc on the right, and then there's 2 cartridge slots, so I can pit not only the Switch version, but the Vita version, because there was a Vita port of Catherine only in Japan.
No, that's good steelbook. It's like they know their audience are probably collectors, so here, have them for
Yeah,
all your other games too.
that was just like when that like finally like had like a
What
trifecta
a
of like
flex.
yeah.
My steelbook could hold 3DS games, a PS4 game, a Vita game, all in one case.
It's a problem, but I do have some questions that we've had like stocked up for like an hour. I've been absolutely ignoring. If you want to go through some of these with me,
Oh, sure.
Saltendo asked, "Do you like Monster Hunter?" I heard you mention Monster Hunter a little bit earlier, but I would love to hear what you think of. Are you like a longtime fan of the series? Did you just get into it recently with Rise or Stories? Where are you at?
I got into it. Well, I do love Monster Hunter. I got into it with Monster Hunter World, and then I went to Ultimate Generations, and yeah, I love it. Rise, has to be my favorite one so far. But yeah, I'm like a kind of new fan, but I love it a lot.
I mean,
I get addicted. I have like I don't even know how many hours I have in Ultimate. It's over like 500 or something.
ooh, this is how we know if you really have a problem with Amiibo. Do you have the Monster Hunter Story 1 Amiibo that were exclusive to Japan?
I don't even have Monster Hunter Stories 1. I never played it.
It's. Do you have an iPhone or an Android?
An iPhone?
If you have Apple Arcade or just want to like burn $5 for a month,
Yeah.
they just added the first game in HD to Apple Arcade. It's a really good phone port, and it's a pretty solid RPG. Like, so if you like stories too and ever get bored, like, I highly recommend 1. And there's nothing special about playing it on the 3DS, and the iPhone version looks really clean.
Well, I just started with 2. Like, I couldn't get the amiibos for 2 though.
They actually just restocked them
really
recently
hard.
at GameStop. So if you have any local GameStops, they just restocked them again this month.
I really don't like GameStop. More for personal reasons, like the people who work there are very rude and stuff.
Then I am definitely not able to help you because those are exclusive there. But I know that feeling. So
if I find it, I'll put up with the sassiness if I have to. But I don't like just walking in.
Florida GameStops, man, they gotta step it up. We have a meme question that I really need answered for this because it's been dropped twice, and I'm curious about the story of this. Peter Noob says, "What's the deal with Sleeper Sword?"
Oh my God, Peter. He doesn't like Skyward Sword, so every time I'm like streaming Skyward Sword, he will say Sleeper Sword.
Oh my gosh, it's
because it puts him to sleep.
Is Peter blind? Does he maybe have like? Is he deaf? Like maybe he doesn't hear the fantastic orchestral soundtrack. Doesn't see the amazing art style. Like does Peter not know of Groose? Peter, have you met Groose? He's a great guy.
No, it's just that he doesn't really like Skyward Sword.
That's okay. They'll all come around eventually. It's not a 10 out of 10, but it's a damn good Zelda game.
I love when people are like, "Oh my God, I love this game now." I'm like, "Yeah, I knew you would."
Where you been the last 10 years, guys? You've been shitting on Skyward Sword. I've been saying it's good. I've been saying it's good since I started. Actually, when I went to look at your oldest videos, I was like, the 4th video on your channel is about Skyward Sword, and I was like, that's an OG move right there.
That's cringe. What? My early videos.
Rising Oblivion has our next question, and this one I'm curious about you because I talk about this way, way, way too much. What do you wish one of the projects are going to be for the 25th anniversary for Persona? So if people don't know, there are 7 unannounced projects that we're going to learn about starting in September over the next year. So what's one project you want to happen?
Ports, and more ports. No, I'm just playing. I really want a remake of 3 because, the combat's a little bit outdated. And 4 on the Switch, I just want a lot of ports, basically. And I want more, details as to Persona 6. Because Persona games, I've, noticed that they take more time to cook than, regular game series.
Mm-hmm.
So I would really love to see... what they have for 6, because there's bound to be a 6.
You know what's funny? I didn't think about this until recently. Persona 5 originally has more dev time put into it than SMT5, which is funny because SMT5 felt like it took forever to get announced and to come out.
Well, Persona's very stylized, I guess.
Dang, throwing some SMT5 there. Shade there. I see how it is.
Well, no. Well, it's not that. It's just, it's traditionally more stylized, I guess. Just my...
Oh, no, I know. I'm giving you a hard time. When I heard that someone, described it as, oh, yeah, it kind of looks like an HD PS2 game, I was like, sir, I think you need to look at a PS2 game. It was just, it was so mind-boggling of, a take for me. Of, I get if you, don't like how it looks, or, think it could look better, but it's, one of those things of, it's I think people, if you don't play a lot of games on the Switch, I could get that. But, like, I legitimately think SMT5 is going to be, like, one of the best looking games on Switch. And that's not even, like, me being, like, blindly optimistic. It's just because, like, I think they, by making that a system exclusive, they had a lot of, especially being on Unreal, they had a lot of limitations, so they had to really kind of hone that look of what it's going to be a lot more than they would with, like, other platforms. Because, like, when they were making Persona 5, they weren't like, oh, shit, dude, we can't get the PS3 to run this thing. Like, it's graphically stylistic, but it's not demanding at all. Whereas SMT5, because it's on the Switch, is so demanding, they have to style the game in a different way while still keeping that
the
open
moves
scope.
look flashy.
Oh, no, yeah,
like,
for sure.
And that hair, my dude.
That hair, I bet
like,
you that hair was someone's job.
I thought it was a girl at first. I thought it was a girl at first.
The funny part about that, with, like, the whole gender thing with Nahabino, is, like, I remember someone in our Facebook group was like, after there was, like, a detailed interview or a trailer, they're like, okay, so for real, though, it's a boy? Like, it's not a girl. I just want to confirm. Just make sure. It was like, they hadn't ruled out the possibility yet.
Because that was the first time I saw, like, his appearance thing, and I was like, was he a girl? And I just didn't notice at first. But then, yeah, it was a he, and I was like, damn, that hair.
It's the best of both worlds. It's like, well, we can't give you male or female protagonists, so instead we're going to make you a male, but very androgynous looking.
Yeah, I thought, that might be the case, because people have been wanting a female for SMT for the longest, or Pro Tag. So I guess they're like, well, we can make him a boy, but he looks girly, so that's it.
Joseph Pycon had an interesting one. You mentioned you were not happy with Striker's performance on Switch. Did you mess around with Nocturne at all on Switch?
Nocturne? I'm still playing it. I just gave Nocturne a pass because it was like a PS2 game. While Strikers is like...
I don't really give you a hard time for that because, like, because it came out in May and you knew that the game was hypothetically coming out later this year for 5, it's like, no offense, why should you play 3 HD for $50 if you can wait a couple of months and play the brand new one that's going to look much better and play much better, hopefully, in just a couple months later from then. Like, there's really, like, no precedent for new fans to jump in. It kind of failed in terms of getting new people to jump in, whereas, like, something like Persona 4 Golden coming to Steam for $20 was like, oh, well, fuck it, it's so cheap, why not buy it?
I'll buy it twice if it's gonna get, the other Personas on board. But Nocturne, I'm playing it mostly because I'm getting into the series and I want to play the other games as well. So, yeah.
I feel like...
I just went in expecting it looks like a PS2 game, so that's what I got.
As someone who streams a lot, I didn't get to do this because I was kind of mad dashing myself to review. Like, I got it, like, 2 or 3 days before embargo for my review because people hate me. I don't know. But I wasn't really able to stream it due to embargoes, and by the time I got the game... basically, by the time it was out, my review was out, so I didn't really get to stream myself playing it, but I was like, I think that Nocturne would be a really fun game to stream. Like, I got to stream myself eventually kind of getting the platinum a bit, but wasn't a huge amount for it. Like, when you kind of played it, do you find it to be, like, an entertaining stream game? And, like, I mostly say that due to the fact that, like, there's a large amount of the game where there's no real story, so it's just kind of, like, easy, turn your brain off gameplay.
Well, I did my first few, like, playthroughs just as a playthrough. I wasn't live. I did live stream it once, and, yeah, it was chill. I kept dying, and I kept losing, but...
like, dang, man, this PS2 game's got hands.
Like, I got lost and stuff, but the thing with Nocturne, it's hard, but it's, like, you can get past it if you know what you're going into.
Oh, this is a weird one. Like do you think you'll beat it before 5? Are you motivated enough to do that? Okay.
It's just that... Why did I stop playing SMT? 3. I think it was because other games came out, but I'm planning to get back into it.
I'm like in a weird mess where like I'm glad it came out when it did, but I feel like it just came out at a terrible time in terms of people caring about it, because I feel like there were just other things that would be more interesting. Like even that month it came out, like it was easily the worst HD re-release that month, unless I missed something horrible. Like it came out in the same month as the Mass Effect Legendary Collection. Like 3 of the most hyped up RPGs of all time in an awesome HD port for $60, and then for $10 less as a PS2 game. It's like this thing like couldn't be like looking worse if it tried. It was just kind of like, oh man, I love you, Nocturne, but like you're really not helping anybody out. Like even me, guy who hosts this weekly podcast about the series, I didn't buy a physical copy until it was over 50% off.
Yeah, I know a lot of people who just bought it to just support Atlus, but didn't really like it. I never played the original, so don't really have any thoughts on that.
That's at least good though, because like
convenient.
you get to go into it as like, hey, this is like you have no nostalgia, so you have pretty much like there's nothing really kind of like rose tinted glasses of like, hey, if you think the game doesn't hold up or is being like a bit of a pain in the ass, no one can be like, well, you're just saying that because blah blah blah.
Yeah, I mean the lip syncing is horrible, but other than that,
I'm so glad
the
you
game
mentioned that.
is
I've never said this before, Nocturne HD. I wish you could turn off lip flapping. It's so bad, and like they didn't even try. Like obviously the lip flapping existed before there was any voice acting, so it's the rare case of, oh, it's not bad because they tried to match Japan. It was just so, oh, it's so bad.
yeah.
It's so bad.
But I give it a pass because they didn't have to dub it, but they did, so that's nice.
So then I
I don't have to read.
I then gotta ask you though. So going a little bit further back earlier this year to Strikers, have you only played the Switch version?
No, I played the PlayStation 4 version.
Okay, so did you primarily kind of play it on PS4, or like, what was your time playing that on Switch like?
I didn't have it on Switch.
Oh, okay.
I saw other people playing on Switch, and I'm like, holy heck, what is... Ugh.
Okay, well, hey, at least then you kind of like saved yourself for it. So
I love the game.
I at least want to like put
I
it...
really did like it.
I want to put this out there, because Mirth Mouser brings this up as well. It is very easy to shit on the Switch version of Strikers, because it is the worst performing port. It is definitely playable. The only problem is if you play any other version of that game on PC or PlayStation, especially like PS4 or even PS5, it looks amazing and it runs at 60. It's flawless there. It's just like you can't go back.
It looks gorgeous.
But it's like if you only play the Switch version, it is super serviceable. You will not be playing it and be like, oh man, this sucks. Like it's a great game on Switch. It's just hard to go back if you play it on other systems.
Like I streamed the whole thing on my PlayStation 4, and I kid you not, there were comments that said my Switch one does not look like that. Because I'm like a Nintendo channel. People think that I streamed it on the Switch, but I was like, no, this is a PlayStation 4. I ain't on that Switch level with that kind of game.
That's interesting though. Like, so would you say for like multi-plat games, do you always put it on PlayStation, or if you want, or is it kind of just on a game by game basis? Because like I love my Switch and I have a pretty big-ish Switch collection, even though like I don't think I do, but people comment I do a lot. If it's not exclusive, though, I have almost no reason to ever buy a Switch version unless it's like, okay, I want to support Nocturne, so I'll buy the Switch port. I want to support Strikers, so I buy that. Also the Steelbook. But like for the most part, I never buy multi-platform games on Switch.
I mostly go with Switch, but if I know the game is very intensive, like Outer Worlds, or what was another game that was multi-plat? Like, if I see that the game is really dense and stuff, I'll probably consider the PlayStation 4 version. because it's probably like not gonna run as well on the Switch.
Mm-hmm.
And reviews after that say, "Oh, it runs better on the PS4 or Switch."
Oh,
So I'm like,
here's a good question. Bringing back our earlier off podcast discussion, Monkey Ball. Where are you picking up Banana
ooh,
Mania?
the Switch.
So, did you hear that even though they didn't do this for Banana Blitz HD, they're adding in gyro control only on Switch?
I did not. I think I did, and it runs at 60. So
Well,
I mean,
I love that
it doesn't take
they
much to throw a
advertised that.
ball in the hole.
They advertised that like, dude, you're porting a GameCube and Xbox game. I would hope it runs at 60 on Switch. Like, Monkey Ball is not a graphically demanding game. Like, Monkey Ball Banana Mania is also going to be on PS5, like a native PS5 port. Like, bro, that shit better run at 8K 120 frames. Like if Switch can do this at
You'll
60.
be surprised on what quote unquote features are on the Switch games, like Skyward Sword. They put, features, you can play with buttons now. I'm like, yeah, that's nice.
I still cannot get over that they did not advertise the right stick for camera. I legitimately cannot get over how much I love having a movable camera on Skyward Sword. It, like, makes me appreciate the game's visuals so much more. And it's so dumb. It's like, no duh, the game has a camera, but it never did before. So, like, it having a camera is such a big deal for me.
Yeah, especially, I don't know if you remember the boss. It was like a fireball boss.
Oh,
and
yes.
he would come to you towards the back, and then you could see him, and it made it better. But I play with motion controls.
No, I do too. Motion, even though they added buttons, I literally haven't even touched it. It's like, I was trying to explain to my wife of like, I love, and thankfully it still holds up. It's like, I love the motion controls in Skyward Sword. Like, there's still no other game that plays like this.
Well, I stream it, and my Switch is really close to my computer, so I don't really do the motion controls justice because I'm so close to my Switch, and I'm just like trying not to hit my mic, and it gets pretty, it gets pretty hectic. Because I don't have like a green screen or anything, so I can't stand up and do it. Nope, that's just like. But I'm, gun ho on playing the whole game with motion controls. That I am doing.
That'll be like a good hero mode. That'll be like an incentive. Do hero mode motion only.
I don't think I could do hero mode. I die way too much. I love the game to death, but I make a lot of stupid mistakes.
Interesting dumb fact about me, like, as much as I love Zelda, I don't think I've ever actually beaten a Zelda game on hero mode. Not because I can't do it, I just never have done it. It's just one of those things of I've always done a playthrough of every Zelda game, and I've just never beaten it on hero mode. Like, so one day I will finally do that. Breath of the Wild hero mode, I'm sure, is fucking insane.
The master mode is insane. Like, I still remember I'm trying to get the master sword so it doesn't like run out of charge, and you have to go through all these trials, and it's so hard.
Oh my god, yeah, I forgot all about that DLC. That was a weird DLC, but I was into that.
That is like, you start off with no weapons, not even armor. It's just annoying, and if you die once, that's it.
So, we have another question from Peter who says, do you have any thoughts on the Lost Judgment PC release situation?
No.
So,
I never really heard of it.
I have a very quick answer for this one just because it's still speculation, and I have kind of commented on Judgment and Lost Judgment not really being on PC because of some Stadia deals. Everything I've heard, I can't talk. Everything I've heard from Sega America people, it's like they don't know about the talent agency thing. They just basically know what they kind of hear from Japan. I can totally believe the talent agency is stopping a PC release, but at the same time, I cannot believe that would be enough to stop them, because if they knew that after Judgment, they wouldn't have kept going with Lost Judgment. So at the very least, I think it's still really up in the air. I'm excited for it, but it's also one of those things that I wouldn't put a bunch. I wouldn't go into Lost Judgment thinking it's going to be the last until you hear it officially. Just because, literally, that news report that came out from like it was a okayish reputable tabloid, but a Japanese tabloid nonetheless. So it was far from like, oh, sources say. It was a lot of kind of like guesswork. Paul has a question. Paul says, do you have any thoughts on a Digital Devil Saga port or remaster? So I don't know how much you know about the SMT games on PS2, but there were these two games called Digital Devil Saga 1 and 2. A, do you know much about them? And B, would you be down for a remaster port?
I only know them through like SMT lore videos because, I can't go all the way back to the PS2. But I'd love to have them remastered. I would love to play all the SMT games one day. And, but it's kind of hard because of Atlus.
I will say...
yeah, I would love a remaster.
Coogan brings up a pretty good point. Coogan is like, hey, is it worth getting the PS3 ports if I want to play them? Because they're all their PS2 games, Persona 3, Persona 4, Nocturne, like the original Nocturne, with, hey, Dante, DDS, and the two Rito games, they're all on there for like $10. If you want those and you want to play them, they're pretty good ports. Like, they're not perfect, but like if you own a PS3, which many people do, and you want to play a official version of it, I recommend it. But I feel like recommending that to someone's kind of like recommending like a Vita game, of like.
Gotta go buy the console first.
Yeah, it's like, if you have, like, I've got my PS3 literally hooked up right next to me. Like, I've had my PS3 forever. I love my PS3. It's got a bunch of great things for it. Like, I couldn't recommend it enough, but I just don't know how many people still have the PS3 hooked up. And I think it goes back to, like, it'd be great to get a port, but I'm not holding my breath. And God knows Nocturne HD... Nocturne HD is weird. It sold like shit in the West. Like, literally one of the worst Atlus games, in recent history, like 13 Sentinels levels of bad. But it sold really good in Asia.
13 Sentinels was good.
No, well, 13 Sentinels is a very good game. 13 Sentinels did not sell well in the West, though.
Oh, yeah. That's probably why it's so cheap.
Yeah, exactly.
Get it now, folks.
I saw that for like $20 new. I was like, man, like, and people, because I made a video about why the game sold so poorly in the West. People were like, this game's great. Like, hey, saying a game sold bad does not mean the game is bad. It is a very, very good game.
It is. I mean, it should have been on the Switch, but that's a different story.
That's man, you think Atlus is weird? Vanillaware is weird. Vanillaware is like, we're 13 people in a closet, we only make our games for PlayStation. Don't ask me why.
Don't at me. Well,
I mean, to be fair, the only game they have ever made in recent history that wasn't on PlayStation was the first version of Muramasa on the Wii, and it sold so bad. It almost tanked the company. It was sold that bad.
I don't even know what game that is. I guess it's really bad.
It's actually one of their best games. Muramasa has two ports.
Damn.
The Wii version, which is pretty good, but the controls on the Wii aren't really made for it. It's like a 2D hack and slash Metroidvania. Amazing art. Like if you played 13 Sentinels, you know Vanillaware's art's great, but it's like a 2D hack and slash side scroller. You play as like this boy or this girl. Awesome art, awesome everything. They made a remastered version of it only on the Vita. It's still exclusive only on that system. And it is like one of the best things on there. Demikura was asking for like crazy like ports and recommendations. I cannot recommend Muramasa Rebirth enough. It's a super, super awesome game. Like, still up there of like one of the crazy things, like how that hasn't been ported to other systems makes no sense, because that game is such a masterpiece. Not a masterpiece. I don't like.
It's probably like a niche title.
I think there's a lot of weird things that go into that, of like their games. Like they keep everything very like internal with them. Like, they don't farm things out. Like, every port they've ever done, like they remastered Odin Sphere and Dragon's Crown was more of a port, but even that was like when they do stuff, they do it themselves. Like, they don't like farm it out to other people.
I mean, that's good in a way.
Yeah, like, hey,
they got to be efficient.
I wish Atlus did their most recent ports. Like, most people don't know this. Like, Atlus didn't port Catherine to Switch. They found a very tiny studio whose name I feel really bad I forgot. They had it ported by a Japanese company who is known for doing VR games. They did that Switch port, which, hey, it's a really good Switch port, but like people don't know stuff like that. Like Nocturne was done by this third party company. Golden on PC was done by a company who's more famously known for making VTubers, which is like one of my favorite facts of all time.
Oh wow, that's pretty cool. I mean, outsource it to whoever as long as it does it like they do it right. I don't really care.
So what's like really funny is with the Atlus ports, they're always done by really small teams you probably have never heard of and have really like literally. I think Catherine on Switch was developed and ported by 13 people, which is insane. Like if you're watching the credits in one scroll of the credits, like you know how like there's like names will like come from the bottom and like disappear at the top before the first name can disappear. You can see all of those people in the credits. Like that's how few people worked on that port. It's that tiny. But what's funny is like with Nocturne HD, it's the largest team they had ported ever, and it had the most technical problems.
Yeah, I think they got ambitious, but you know, it's not that bad. But, question for you: have you played Nier?
Yes, so I've played PS3 Nier, and I've played Automata, but I've not played Replicant. I have Replicant, I just haven't gotten around to playing it yet.
Oh man, those are my favorites. I can't recommend it enough.
I love it. I need to just sit down and commit some time to it. Like I want to say, oh, I've been really busy, but as I mentioned earlier, I played Monkey Ball for I played Monkey Ball in the time I probably could have beaten Nier Replicant. So I clearly just don't know how to spend my time well. But that is one of my plans. By the end of the year, I think that actually would be like a good August game, because really the only big stuff I want to play in August is No More Heroes 3 and Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut. So hopefully I can finally crack open my copy and play it, because I really love Nier 1, and I'm so glad I can finally play Replicant in English.
And Replicant has some good gameplay, so, you know, it's like even better than the first one. Though a lot of people say they like Papa Nier, and I'm just like, why? He looks so ugly.
Papa Nier has a certain charm. I understand Brother Nier and Papa Nier's like charms very well. I love them all equally for very, very different reasons.
Oh, well, I never played with Papa Nier, so I guess I've just seen him in like retrospectives and stuff. And
let me tell you, if you're looking at Papa Nier, he will not impress you. That is very, 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 very true.
He looks like a Western character in an anime game. That's the best way I could describe it. But, you know, not to diss on Papa Nier.
Well, you know, hey, Papa Nier, little bit of a spoiler, but still in Replicant, so go play that game, guys. I know he's in there, but I don't know how, so I've thankfully not been spoiled on all the new ending for Replicant.
Oh, the DLC stuff, okay.
Well, no, I don't think it was DLC. I think it was just actually just the, it's like part of...
Oh, no, it's not DLC in Replicant. It's just put in there.
But, man, let me tell you, that sure would be a bad look. Remaking an old game and putting DLC in to have to pay for it, that'd be a bad look.
No, it was just a DLC from the game. But, you know, on Replicant, it's free.
So, I kind of want to start wrapping up so we can get you out of here before 9 o'clock or whatever for it. But I wanted to... I put a last call out for if anyone has any questions, just at me in the YouTube thing. But I want to kind of talk to you a little bit more about SMT5, as it is a big exclusive game kind of coming for it. For you... It like, do you put this up there with like a Metroid Dread of like, hey, this is a big release? Because honestly, and I know I'm super, super biased, like, for me, I'm looking at SMT5 as like, it is up there with like, it is a big exclusive Nintendo first party AAA game. Like, I think it's like going in there with a little bit more hype than even something like a No More Heroes 3. And definitely getting more hype for me than like the Pokemon Pearl and Diamond remake.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm buying all of them. Holy cow, no way. But SMT5, I'm really excited. I haven't played a Metroid game. Like, I played the one on the 3DS, And while I am excited for Dread, I'm more excited for SMT5 because that's more up my alley, really.
So, from everything you've kind of seen with it, were you following SMT5 really close before E3? And when I mean that, I know there's not a lot to really go off of, but like before this E3, were you kind of like, oh my god, I can't wait? Because honestly, after that first trailer, there really was nothing until last year where we had that July Nintendo Direct.
Well, the first trailer I saw and I was like, oh, okay, they're working on it. But the one in July looked pretty hype because we saw a lot of stuff. And I'm like, okay, now you're talking. Now I'm excited. I don't follow development cycles of games too much. When they come out, they come out. So I'm just excited to pick it up.
Now, as a collector, I think I'd be remiss not to ask you this. How did you feel they handled the collector's edition situation?
Horribly, especially in today's market of online scalpers and stuff. I don't know what they were thinking. Well, it's Atlus. God damn it.
I'm noticing a
Um,
trend. I should have just edited this episode of being like Atlus being Atlus.
yeah, like it was handled very, very poorly. And I know a lot of people who are big fans got theirs. I didn't even go for like the deluxe edition. One, because it's expensive. Two, because I'll let a bigger SMT fangirl or fanboy grab it.
You are too kind. Okay, so I like have never been more in love with the collector's edition in recent memory. It weirdly ticks like every box I wanted, which made it so much more depressing when people like couldn't get it. Um, because it was like
Did you get it?
yes, oh, I did. It was we had a whole thing. There was a saga about this. We had a town hall for this fucking collector's edition. I had a town hall where I had to explain to people how the situation was working and why it was selling out so fast. It was like it was so weirdly
Yeah.
like feverish. But no, I got one. But it was like because for me it ticked every box of steelbook check, CD check, art book check, and even the bag. Normally, I think game bags are like dumb unless they're usable, but because it looks like a in-world item without looking branded like a dumb video game item. Like I will use that as a Switch case. Like that's like I will use that as like my daily Switch case, which is nice.
Wear it with pride outside.
Yeah, second. But like
Cause I have um I have like Bluetooth kitty ears and I wear that in public all the time.
I
I don't care who looks at
I
me.
appreciate you as a guest, and I do not want you to take this the wrong way. If I don't see a picture of you actually outside wearing them, I will not believe you. That is a statement
Really?
I can't. What do
I
you?
mean, I stream with them.
I see. I get that wearing them for a stream, but like, are you like so? They're your daily I'm outside headset.
No, the ones I wear for stream have the kitty ears, but they're bigger. But the ones I wear outside are pink and they're smaller, and I wear those outside.
Yeah, that's one I'm gonna need I'm gonna need a proof one for it. I don't know what I can do to make it like to incentivize it. Not because I don't think that's believable, but that's like that's such a funny thing of like I have no problem with you doing that, and like I think that's a fun thing to do. But because like in my brain I just can't picture it. Is like no, because like
I
we're
mean,
in,
half of my outfit is like merch for different
we're in
games for
this
different
world where
YouTubers.
if I see someone not wearing AirPods and they have headphones in, I'm like, what's up with them? Like I don't even own AirPods, but I'm just so used to if you're listening to something with headphones, it's AirPods or nothing.
Well, I just like the headphones instead of like a little pod, and plus it gives people a reason not to talk to me.
Oh, that's
So,
man, that's so true. Yeah, I do prefer over the ear headphones 100%, but like, oh, man, I'm trying to think of like, man, I really can't think of it. At the
I
very
mean, people look at me, but I don't
You
keep
well,
looking.
that's the thing though. You'll get attention, but like even like with me not believing you, I'm not even like saying that in a way like, oh, that's a weird thing to do. Because at the very least, like it goes back to what you're saying of like, hey, they're probably comfortable, they probably sound better, and it's a guaranteed strangers are not going to talk to me with these on thing.
Yeah, they'll probably look at me, but not talk to me. And anyways, I'm a big, fan of my stuff. Like I take merch all the time. All my shirts are like video games. Well, not all of them. And
All of my shirts are just.
like,
I have a shirt for every Nintendo 64 box art. It's my entire closet, just bought Nintendo box art shirts.
I mean, yeah, if you go to my streams, I'm usually wearing like a shirt with a game on it.
Do you? I'm trying to think of it. Honestly, I expected way more of this stream to be us talking collection stuff for you. So I feel very very bad. I've not gotten to like do more as like a fellow collector. So like hopefully I can
That's
like
fine.
I can ask a couple like little weird ones who have just like weird things for us. So how do you
Mhm.
feel as a big collector about all of these limited run games? Now, I don't specifically mean limited run games, like because there are so many companies and even just releases that are like I Am 8-Bit does their own stuff, PlayAsia does their own stuff. Like if you're a Switch collector, it is hard for a day to go by without a new rare like 2,000 copies Switch thing to get like released. Like you definitely seem to
Mhm.
me as someone who's not a full set collector because I'm also not as well. So does that kind of take a little bit of the pressure off for you, or like do you ever like find yourself like getting overwhelmed?
Um, well, I don't buy every like physical thing, mostly because I sleep in my room. I sleep in my room, of course. um, I live with my parents, and all I have is the space in my room. So I don't really have enough space for everything, and that can get pretty expensive. So I just stick with what I want or the games that I absolutely love. I'll collect. Like Zelda, I'll collect a bunch of stuff, but like Mario, not really. And yeah, I try to buy games physical, but if they're like impossible to get, then I'll do a digital. Like I'm a big collector, but I don't have like a gaming room shrine or like I buy two copies of a game to keep one
Oh
sealed
my
or
god,
something like
I
that.
I cannot.
That
The
hurts.
sealed collector life is just the like the most white people thing I've like ever seen in my existence, and it's not even like say like only white people do, but I'm like I need to own a game so I can never open it, and then I need to own a second copy so I can actually play said game. I was like, no, open your game, dum dum. Like it was like, and then when people do that for like collector's editions too, it like so boggles my mind. Which is funny because like I love variant covers. Like I've definitely bought in a game twice when the cover is different. The game is totally the same, but the cover is different, and where I like the art and I want to support it. Like something like that, I can get behind. But like just the
Mhm.
sealed for being sealed sake, I will never ever understand. And the same thing goes with full set collectors. Like,
We were talking about this person earlier, Destiny FOMO,
mhm.
and I remember she had every Switch variant, like even the Fortnite one. She had the gray ones, the
that
ones with the
that
color
that
Joy-Cons.
JP Disney Tsum Tsum only one.
Yeah, like she had all the Switch variants, and I'm like, why? And then she like bought like 9 Switch Lights, and I remember she put down 10K for some old game, and I'm
So
like,
with systems,
Jesus Lord.
systems is a weird one. So you're talking to a man. I just told you earlier. I have an unhealthy love for the Vita. Like it is dangerously close to how much I love my wife. That's how much I love that thing. I own
Oh my God.
I own 3 Vitas for the system that like is one of my favorite of all times. I own. Oh my god, I already forgot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I own 6 3DSs. I
Oh, the
don't.
3DSs are very easy. Like,
It was one of those things though of like it was just like, oh, that's a cool system. Let me let me buy it. Like of just like I own the Metroid one, my OG launch, well, not launch, my OG 3DS Red, the Link Between Worlds XL, the Majora's Mask new
oh man.
3DS, the Persona Q 3DS that was exclusive to GameStop. That one's really gorgeous, and the Shin Megami Tensei 4 3DS that only came out in Japan, and then
Yeah.
my last one was the one for Samus Returns, actually, the like orange and yellow one. I really, really liked that. So
I only have the Pikachu one and the classic black.
I'm sad I have to ask this. Which Pikachu one? They made like 3.
The 2DS one that had
Oh,
like
okay.
Pikachu's face.
Wait, hold on. The 2DS one or the new 2DS XL, the one that came out recently?
New, yeah, the new
Okay.
2DX.
Every
So
Pikachu
yeah,
3DS system looks absolutely gorgeous, by the way. Say what you will about Pokemon. Pokemon kills it with their limited edition systems. They always look really good.
they do. But man, I wish I got the Zelda one. I remember they announced it right after I got the Pikachu one. I was pissed.
Okay, so I've seen that thing in person before. I don't know how you feel about it. The Hylian, the Hylian Shield new 2DS XL looks really cheap. It does not look cool. It's not fun. It literally looks like someone made a Happy Meal toy into a like 3DS, which makes me
Ooh.
sad. Like I love Zelda systems, but there are some like limited edition Zelda systems that just look really cheap and lame. Like, do you remember when they made the new 3DS XL Zelda version for the release of Triforce Heroes, where it's just gold and has a triangle on it? And it's like, there's nothing
Hmm.
special. It's just gold and has the Triforce. Like, that's not cool. Like, the one with Majora's Mask, while it should have been purple, at least had, like, the design of the mask on the cover. Like, that was an interesting system. And, like, that has personality. Like, the one they did for the 3DS of Ocarina of Time, like, that black and gold look, that looked really nice. The Link Between Worlds system is criminally sexy. The, like, half black, half gold look, that's such a great design
Hmm.
for a system. And like I just don't know like why they like kind of like drop the ball on those like so hard. But like other like
I
weird
don't
one.
really own a lot of custom consoles.
Mm-hmm.
The only ones I do have is my Animal Crossing Switch and the Pikachu 3DS.
Do you
Everything else is like day one
do
purchased.
you remember when the Animal Crossing Switch system was like people were paying like $600 for it? Like they're like I can't get enough. Like this system's so rare. Like I love Animal Crossing, and I go into every Target now, and my Target has like 19 of them. I was like, I told my wife this. I was like,
Yeah.
honey, this system a year ago was like $600.
I mean, scalpers really put a damper on physical collectors
Well,
like
it's just
so
so funny. Of
bad.
like Nintendo is just like they have never reprinted a limited edition system. But fucking Animal Crossing, sure, why not? Go for it. Like, how
I
insane is
mean,
that?
that's because, back then it was limited and stuff, but you didn't have to worry about scalpers and all that BS. So nowadays, like, if something goes, like, I get nervous when something gets released.
Hmm.
Like, any deluxe editions or anything. I always get nervous because I don't know if I would even get a pre-order in.
I hate that that's like the world we live in, but no, you're so right. It's like I even like going back to the Metroid Dread Special Edition. I love Metroid. I'm so excited for that collector's edition. It's like everything I want in a CE, at least from Nintendo. I set the bar very low. Um, I don't have a pre-order for it, so I'm like I'm really excited, but I'm like fuck, dude, I'm gonna have to like pay eBay prices or whatever for it. It was like,
Yeah,
hey,
it's like
whatever.
if you
I will, but it's like I want to just be excited. Like I miss the days when you could pre-order a game's collector's edition 2 or 3 months before it came out and not have to worry about it. Whereas like now you go into the store and they just laugh at you for not having it already.
sometimes if you have a pre-order, you still gotta worry.
Oh man, yeah, like the thing of like, is it gonna get canceled? Like, what's gonna happen? Like getting screwed over like that, which really sucks. I will say though, now that you mentioned it, are you a pretty big Animal Crossing fan?
Yes.
Most
I
people
put
don't.
more hours into New Horizons than I would love to admit.
Oh, most people don't know this, and thankfully it is not rare. God knows the show is not popular enough for this to boost the numbers. Last year, for whatever reason, South Korea got a exclusive Animal Crossing Steelbook. It's only in Korea, and it's really simple, but it's really cute. So on both sides of the cover, it's all green. It's got the logo in Korean, and it has a bunch of Animal Crossing
Hmm.
character villager heads. And then on the inside, it's just the wallpaper artwork of like the game for the inside. It's a really simple one. It's like 10-15 bucks. It's pretty cheap. With shipping, it's probably like 30 or something. But like if you're interested in it, definitely check it out. It's the only Animal Crossing steelbook they've ever made, so it's a fun little cool like
Another
collector's
thing,
thing.
like Another thing I hate about physical collecting is, like you mentioned, exclusive, like
Regional stuff.
they're here regions and sometimes even stores. Like, oh, Best Buy has this one and Target has that one, and it just makes everything so hard. Like sometimes I don't even try with some games because I don't like it's annoying. It's getting very annoying actually. Doing physical collecting nowadays, it's so different. The climate is more harsher, and then with everyone having to do stuff online, that leaves way to bots and all that, crapola, and then like regional stuff, and then some stuff in Japan. Like I know a lot of cute Animal Crossing things in Japan, but they're in Japan. So
Um,
that's why I've given up on some
and that
some stuff.
And that sucks. Like, yeah, like, it can be disheartening. Like, what's really funny, and this is not, like, a good thing I was going to do, and I'm glad I didn't do this. So, I really fell in love with the Switch as soon as it came out, and because of how much I was into Vita collecting at the time, I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna own every physical Nintendo Switch game. Like, that's my goal. Like, I'm gonna own every game. Fuck that! Oh my, you don't want to know how long I did that until I broke? 3 months into the system. As soon as July hit, I was like, what the fuck are all these games coming out for this thing? Like, because it went from, like, remember, the Switch launched with 5 physical games to now everything is coming out on it physically, even if it doesn't need one. So it's like, I'm so glad I broke
and
early.
Games get, like, physical, then limited run, which I don't like. And sometimes I'm just like, let me grab a empty Switch case and print out the the cover and put it there to make myself feel better or something like that.
One that made me a little, like, it was funny. I was explaining to my friend, he just got the Steelbook for Bayonetta 2 on Switch, and it was funny. I was asking him, like, oh, what region did you get? And it was like, oh, does it matter? And I'm like, yeah, Japan had...
Of course it matters.
The Japanese one is different than the European one. They have the same cover and inside art, but the European one holds one game, because in Europe and in America, Bayonetta 2 on Switch, while it came with the first game, only had the second on the cart. And in Japan, they made a collector's edition called the Non-Stop Climax Edition, where that was the only way you could get Bayonetta 1 physically on a cart. And it's stupid expensive. It was expensive when I bought it, and I can't even imagine what it goes for now. And I was explaining to him that's the only way to own Bayonetta 1 physically, and that the Steelbook in Japan holds both cartridges. And he immediately just went, that's okay, I'm going to forget I ever heard that. It was like he was like, I want to go the rest of my life never knowing that existed, because I'm sure I would hate having to buy it.
Like I said, it could get pretty tiring and expensive. Like really expensive, especially when you're importing and trying to keep up. And then I'm like, at the end of the day, it's my collection. I buy what I want to see on my collection. At one point, I was so into physical collecting and stuff that if I didn't get one variant of something, I would get like so pissed. But now my threshold is not as high. Like I mean, it's not as low.
Honestly, I love that attitude.
Yeah.
I love that attitude, and I really hope a lot of people hear what you say and like abide by that, because like, I have people who will like maybe watch my unboxings or look at my collections and pictures and be like, oh my god, my collection sucks, dude. Like, I don't have even a fraction. Like, it doesn't matter. A video game collection should be your collection. It is not like when you look at like the people who have the walls of games for every system, they're not going through those games with nostalgia for the most part. Like, every game I own in my collection, I know exactly where I was and what was going on in my life when I bought it. I love that I can pull out a game and each one has like a story behind me either buying it and it means something, and it's my collection. And if I had 10 games or if I had 300 games, it doesn't matter. And so like, I love looking at people's collections, whether like they have any size, because it like, when you look at someone's game collection, it like says a lot about them, and always in a good way of like, oh, that's cool, you're into this kind of stuff, or might be like this and whatnot for it. Whereas like, I don't only want to talk to people who have hundreds of games in a collection, because then it might just get kind of like boring or whatever. Of like, it's fun when you have something that like says a lot about you as a fan, or like in terms of like the sort of stuff you enjoy. So like for you, like how many Switch games do you own?
Well, the case I put my Switch games is 80, like holds 80 cartridges, and I'm about one page off, so I would like to say around 60 or 70.
I was ready for you to be like, and I've got 6 of these cases. these
No,
hold 80. I've got about 9,000.
No, I did a big purge of my collection. That's why I traded a bunch of SMT games that I probably shouldn't have. And now it's just more of my personal stuff. It's my collection. So if someone says, "Oh, your collection look ugly," I'm like, "You want to fight, bro?"
Dang,
It's
man!
personal.
If I ever heard
personal.
someone with that kind of attitude about someone's collection, I would have to go through the screen. That would hurt me. That would hurt me.
Yeah, so I've kept the games that I want to, that mean something to me, and they're not doubles, and they're not like in plastic or anything. So
my favorite are like when my wife met me, all because she plays games, but she didn't really kind of get collecting or hadn't really been around it for games. Although, actually, no, I say that, but like actually, she understood it probably better than any girl I'd ever like dated at that time. Because as I mentioned, she's really into like K-pop and stuff. When a fucking K-pop album comes out, there is a chance that it is the same album and they make 8 variants of it. It's the same
my
album,
lord.
but they make different variants for like, oh, here's each member in the group or whatever, or here's the like, here's the group version, here's the single version, stuff like that. So it's like, here I have this one album, but I have to buy it multiple times because you get the photo card, different art books, different pictures, different cover. So like she understood that for it, but it was really funny of different things of like me, sort of showing off of like, why are you buying the Digimon Cyber Sleuth games again? It's like, listen, am I ever going to play them on Switch? No, but I love Digimon, and this is like $20. Like I have no reason not to buy this. It's just like things that like. There's like a difference for me between like collecting because I like the system or collecting because I love the series. Like I own every Dynasty Warriors or Samurai Warriors game on PlayStation 4 and Vita.
Wow.
I don't need all of those, but it's like I love that series. And especially like while I love playing them more on my Vita, like my Vita is my favorite place to play all those games. My wife loves playing those games with me. So like those games we can only play 2-player together. So like having them on PS4 is kind of nice. Of like that's like our couple bonding game. Of like I remember like when I was describing to her like games I like, and I was like telling her, it's like, oh yeah, I got Dynasty Warriors. She's like, oh, I love that game, and I was like, okay, I have to marry her now. There we go, because you're not going to run into a lot of people like that. So like it's just little things, little sort of like things like that like have a reason, even though they're the definition of extra. Last little collector's thing on that. It's like, so besides Switch, you mentioned you play on like PlayStation. Are there other systems you would say you collect physically for?
My 3DS, and that's about it.
Your wallet probably
Sometimes
appreciates that. How many 3DS games do you got?
Actually, no Xbox. How many 3DS games do I have?
Mm-hmm.
I haven't counted, but I have a hefty amount. Though a lot of them got purged in my purging.
3DS was a weird one for collecting. 3DS, like it's kind of like, okay, I've got Zelda, I've got Atlus games, and then random ass whatever. Like I've got Shovel Knight, Project Cross Zone, Metroid, Metal Gear Solid, and one random Pokemon game.
Oh man, you gotta, because the 3DS had such a good variety of games. I don't know if you played Mario and Luigi games.
It's got a
oh my god,
it's got a great library, but it was just one of those funny things of like I don't think there's a single 3DS game that I'm like, oh, I don't have this game and I need to play it. Like, because like all the games that I know I really want, I played there. Like outside of maybe like a weird case of like. No, even like that, like I can't think of like, because like here's one. This one is especially weird because it even doesn't make sense. I cannot believe, and I love Mario, I've never played, not a second has my, like, I've never even touched it, 3D Land. I bet I would love 3D Land, but I just don't own it.
Oh.
Actually, I don't even...
Well, I own it, and I barely play it, too.
I don't even know if I own a single Mario game.
I do regret trading in my Pokemon games. Like, Big Oof, Heart Gold, Soul Silver...
you look at the prices for those now. It's like, oh god, what did I do?
And now I want to play Heart Gold, and I'm like, damn it!
That's not even getting into the discussion of bootlegs, but that's its own horrible, sad conversation. But hey, speaking of horrible, sad conversations, we're almost at the 2-hour mark, so let's try and wrap ourselves up. Mandy, thank you so much for letting me ramble, rant, and rave to you about Steelbooks for way too long.
No, it's fine. Thank you for having me on.
Before we leave, I want you to let everyone out there know where they can find you, where they can internet stalk you, join you for your streams, and talk about how much we all love Skyward Sword together.
Oh, well, you could stalk me on my Twitter at MandyleePlays, and you could stop by my YouTube channel, MandyleePlays. I do a lot of live streaming and videos. Just look around, you'll find something. So, yeah, I do mostly Nintendo, but not all Nintendo.
Now you're still playing through Skyward Sword. You're still playing through Skyward Sword a whole bunch. What? How can we expect you to play Mario 64 next?
Oh, that brings me a flashback. I hate Mario 64. It literally took my whole community to convince me to play that game. And I still haven't finished. I stopped. I couldn't.
Wow. I'm super nostalgic goggles on that, so like when I replayed it for the 3D All-Stars, I was like, this game fucks. But I was like, I know it's not for everybody. Dropped
when I heard 64. I'm
yes.
like, ugh. But you could watch the streams. Yeah. So hope to see you on my channel.
That is a die-hard community, by the way. For you, you had to be begged to play 64, one of like the most like revered Nintendo games of all time, and then you were like, "Yo, man, I'm not feeling this game." And the fact that you still got listeners—that's commitment.
Well, yeah, I played Sunshine and Galaxy, and then someone had to say, "What about 64?" I was like, "Hush up."
You were like, did someone say Woolly World? Did somebody say Yoshi's Woolly? Planet Robobot? Of course we're going to play Planet Robobot.
Well, those games are good. 64...
We're gonna like need like a it'll be like your magnum opus of like how some like cringy YouTubers have like Sonic 06. It'll be like, oh, my greatest enemy, and then you see like a Nintendo 64 cartridge come out.
I'd rather play Sonic 06 than
Damn.
64.
Damn.
And I hate Sonic, so.
Oh my god. Man, alright, well, clearly we need to let you go so you can go back to playing your copy of Mario and Sonic at the 2020 Olympics Games, but,
I actually have that. It's very fun.
Damn, wow. This podcast really went places. Holy crap. Okay, well, hey, if you enjoyed whatever this 2-hour stretch of things was, this is a weekly podcast where we mostly talk about Shin Megami Tensei and Persona, but this was just clearly a people mouthing into the internet for as long as they want. But, yes, if you would like to follow more of this podcast, you can follow me on Twitter. I am at Torchwood4SP. You can also go follow the podcast on Twitter at SMT Network. You can join the Discord with the link below wherever you're listening/watching to this. Join the Facebook group by going to facebook.com/group/SMT Network. There's a page. You can find us on YouTube just by searching Shin Megami Tensei or... Well, Shin Megami Tensei Network. My SEO skills are not that good yet. But you can blah 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 subscribe to the channel. There's editorial stuff, all that fun jazz. And also, if you would like to help support this dumpster train wreck fire, you can go to patreon.com.
It wasn't that bad.
Well, no. This was a great show, but if you would enjoy keeping whatever it is you just heard going, you can go to patreon.com/SMTN. That's Patreon. Wait, Patreon. SMEON, yes, I did spell it correctly, /SMTN. You can support it by giving us as little as $1 a month for just getting early access to shows and videos, or if you want, you can be an executive producer by donating $5 a month. So extra shout out to Robert Dogman, Patrick Dessard, Solaire, and that is it for our extremely handsome, beautiful, attractive executive producers. You are all greatly, greatly appreciated. And just everyone who helps supporting at any level. So thank you all for supporting the show. Thank you for listening to the show. Mandy, thank you so much for being on the show. Once again, it was super awesome having you on. I am greatly looking forward to now diving through all of your channel's videos, and
Oh wow.
I'll write back with how much I appreciate this, and if it holds up to. I mean, hey, I've already got off to a good start with you because of your taste in monkey balls as well as your taste in sleeper swords.
All right. Well, thank you for having me on. It was fun talking about stuff. I haven't been on a podcast for the longest, so it's nice to, chat with my fellow content creators and stuff. Well, you don't like to be called that.
Well, no. I will let people call me that, but I will just not call myself that. It's like, it's a weird, like, double, like, it's I overthink it too much. It's like Steelbooks. I shouldn't talk about it. That's how the whole thing works.
It's like, I will never call myself gamer girl, but I don't care if people...
Oh my god. Alright, well, we should say goodbye before I have to bring up my disdain for the G word. So goodbye, everybody.
Peace.
Alright.